Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the science of high HIIT. We're going to break down exactly how you can maximize your workout efficiency in, well, minimal time, relying purely on the hard science. If you're looking to literally get the absolute most out of your body, you are definitely in the right place.
Let's just face it, right? The most common modern problem we all deal with is a severe lack of time. Between work, family, and a million other obligations, trying to carve out a full hour just to slog on the treadmill can feel practically impossible. But what if I told you that you don't actually need an hour? What if a tiny fraction of that time could actually yield incredible results? Well, that is the core promise of high-intensity interval training.
So here's our quick roadmap for today's explainer. First, what exactly is HIIT? Then, we'll look at the science of the afterburn, compare HIIT to steady-state cardio, dive into SIT and Tabata protocols, master those work-to-rest ratios, and finally, look at how to safely do HIIT at absolutely every age.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1. What exactly is HIIT? Defining the workout revolution.
So, high-intensity interval training, or HIIT as we all call it, is essentially a training protocol where you alternate short periods of intense, near-maximal anaerobic exercise with brief recovery periods. Now, the absolute key word here is anaerobic. This is what completely distinguishes it from your typical everyday cardio, because HIIT relies almost maximally on your body's anaerobic energy-releasing system.
The biological distinction here is pretty fascinating. See, aerobic exercise, like your standard walking or jogging, uses oxygen for sustained activities. It's comfortable. But anaerobic exercise, which is what HIIT aggressively targets, breaks down glucose without oxygen for these short, super high-intensity bursts. Basically, HIIT aggressively evicts your body right out of its oxygen-fueled comfort zone, forcing it to adapt incredibly fast.
Moving on to Section 2, the science of the afterburn. Let's look at how your body actually keeps burning.
Okay, so enter EPOC. That stands for excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. This is basically the state where your body just continues to burn calories at a highly elevated rate for 24 to 48 hours after an intense workout, just trying to return to its baseline resting state. This afterburn effect is exactly why a really short, intense HIIT session can legitimately outperform an entire hour of steady jogging. Your body is basically working overtime long after you've actually left the gym.
And the sheer power of this intensity really boils down to one simple number: 20. There was a fascinating study focused on a 20-minute interval kettlebell workout, and it showed participants burning an absolutely astonishing 20 calories per minute. That totals a massive 400 calories burned in a very short window. Because let's be totally honest here, 20 minutes of nonstop kettlebell swings feels completely agonizing. But man, that 400 calorie burn means that literally every single drop of sweat is earned.
Section 3. HIIT versus steady-state cardio. Let's actually compare the outcomes here.
So looking at data from a 12-week study on obese young adults in South Asia, we see some truly incredible contrasts. When researchers isolated the different modalities, aerobic training brilliantly crushed fat. We're talking an 11.2% reduction in body fat and a 14.6% improvement in the 6-minute walk test. Meanwhile, resistance training increased muscle mass by 8.8%. Now, when we zoom out and look at interval training in the broader research, it essentially borrows the fat-burning power of those intense aerobic efforts while simultaneously challenging the muscles in a way that steady-state cardio simply does not do. It's really the best of both worlds.
In fact, the literature reveals a massive array of multifaceted benefits. HIIT increases your VO2 max, it promotes specific subcutaneous and abdominal fat oxidation, and it significantly improves both your glucose tolerance and insulin sensitivity, and get this, it even enhances executive function in the brain. Seriously, no way, right? It acts as this incredible multi-dimensional intervention for both your cardiovascular system and your overall metabolic health.
All right, Section 4, sit and Tabata protocols. Pushing to the absolute limit.
We do have to make a hard distinction here. Regular HIIT involves what we call near maximal effort, so that's pushing about 80 to 100% of your max heart rate. But SIT, which stands for sprint interval training, involves super maximal, or literally all-out bursts that actually exceed your VO2 peak, combined with much longer recovery times. SIT creates a far greater homeostatic disturbance in the body, and listen, this is really meant strictly for highly conditioned individuals.
And perhaps the absolute most famous supermaximal protocol out there is Tabata. This is based on a legendary 1996 study involving Olympic speed skaters, and the Tabata IE1 protocol is, well, it's brutal, but it's highly effective. Step 1. 20 seconds of ultra-intense exercise at 170% of your VO2 max, which honestly is exactly as miserable as it sounds. Step 2, just 10 seconds of rest. Step 3, repeat continuously for exactly 4 minutes. The crazy thing? The study showed that this tiny 4-minute routine yielded anaerobic capacity benefits that a traditional 60-minute steady-state session just simply could not match.
Moving into Section 5, Mastering Work-to-Rest Ratios, the math behind the sweat.
So the absolutely crucial point here is hitting these specific heart rate targets. During your work phase, you want to be pushing up into that 80 to 95% of your max heart rate zone. But, and this is just as important, your recovery phase must drop way down to 40 to 50% of your max heart rate. The true secret to intervals is actually resting during the rest period, so you have the biological energy to explode again on the next set.
If you are just starting out with this, you should follow this 5-month progression plan. Beginners absolutely must start with longer recovery periods. So in month 1, use a 1:3 ratio. Say, 15 seconds of work, followed by a full 45 seconds of recovery. As your fitness improves, you slowly start shifting the math. By month 3, you're at a 1:1 ratio, and by month 5, you've safely built up to a grueling 3:1 ratio, doing way more work than rest.
Finally, Section 6, Safe HIIT for every age, adapting intensity for longevity. Look, as we age, our bodies naturally respond a bit differently to recovery and impact stress. But the really great news here is that muscle building capacity actually remains incredibly strong well after 50. The real key is engaging those muscles and challenging the cardiovascular system, while just being very protective of our sensitive joints.
And to do that, we can use some incredibly smart exercise hacks for longevity. High-impact moves can easily become low-impact modifications without losing a drop of that cardio benefit. So box jumps, those just become step-ups. Burpees become squat thrusts without that jarring, explosive jump at the end. Jumping jacks become fast-paced marching with high knees. You're still elevating the heart rate right into that sweet spot, but without all the pounding impact on your body.
To keep it totally safe, just follow these simple rules for HIIT over 50. First, extend those work-to-rest ratios to 1:2 or even 1:3. Give your heart the time it desperately needs to recover. Second, target 70 to 85% of your age-adjusted maximum heart rate. You really don't need to push to 100%. Third, keep the intense intervals brief, right around 15 to 30 seconds. Because fitness over 50 isn't about avoiding the challenge, it's about intelligently respecting your recovery windows.
Which leaves us with one final question to ponder today. Are you ready to trade time for intensity? The science makes it absolutely clear that you do not need endless hours to completely transform your metabolic health, burn fat, and build incredible endurance. You really just need focus, effort, and the right intervals. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Until next time, stay curious and train smart.